Hey, it's Trista from Zero Casualties here, and today I'm going to show you how I make my sourdough boules. I make these every week, and today my son requested garlic loaf. So what I did over here was I sauteed some garlic just in some olive oil, 2 or 3 tablespoons or so, maybe about 4 tablespoons total. And so the first part of the process is we want to autolyze the flour and water first for about half an hour, and then we will put the starter and salt and stuff. And I usually have to add extra flour after that so it's not too soft and doughy. So I'm going to add 4 cups of bread flour into this bowl first. And there we go. And then I'm going to get some warm tap water out of the sink over here. And then we will mix that together. So 1.5 cups here. Mix that together. Just kind of create a, I guess they call it shaggy dough. Just to get that going here. And I love that this is a slow process because it's a sunny day today and I want to get outside for most of the day, so I don't have to be working in here too much. So let me mix this a little bit more. We want to get most of the flour incorporated. It's not really going to look like a dough quite yet, but we want it mostly together. So there's always a little bit on here and I take that off. And then I'm going to borrow this clean towel here and then cover it up. I like to say we're putting it to bed for half an hour. So since it's already warm out here on the counter today, I'm just going to set a timer over here for 30 minutes. And then we'll be coming back for step 2. And then after the rising, we'll go into the forming, and we will be putting it into a basket, which I'll show you here. This is my basket, and I have these cool fabric washable covers that we put over this, and we put flour and stuff in there to form that, so we'll be using that later. And then this is a scoring razor that I use, so I will be showing all that to you later. So I will see you in half an hour. Hello, welcome back, and we are on the second step of the sourdough boule. So we have the autolyzed part, just the flour and water together, so we can see what that looks like. And now we're gonna add 2 cups of the starter, which is nice and bubbly and airy, which is what you want. So make sure we get 2 cups over there. Any extra I will be saving to, grow the starter. And if I'm not going to use it the next day or 2, I'll just put it back in the fridge after I've fed it the water and flour. So we want to get this in here. And like I said before, we're definitely going to add extra flour because this is a great recipe, but it tends to be too sticky if you don't add extra flour to it. And what I do is I always get my starter out of the fridge the night before and feed it the night before. That way the next day it's nice and bubbly. I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of this coarse salt. You can also use kosher salt. So get like nice seasoning in there. So usually what I do is I kind of, mix it up a little bit before I add extra flour. I don't want to add, too much, but this is definitely too sticky to be the boule dough. So what I do is I kind of add it a cup at a time and then kind of go from there. Each time it's a little bit different, so it just depends on the day and what's going on with the dough. I love how sourdough is kind of a living creature that you can work with. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. So yeah, I kind of fold with my spatula, as you can see here. Kind of scoop and fold, I guess you'd call that. So go around and around with that. And it's definitely still needing more flour because there's a lot of sticky spots, as you can see there. So I'm gonna add some more, maybe half a cup this time. And then go from there. I am gonna kind of knead this just in the bowl when we get closer to it being ready. And then we are gonna let it rise for 4 hours. I won't be adding the garlic quite yet because I like to let the bread rise on its own without the seasonings, because the seasonings can kind of, especially if they're things like garlic or a ton of herbs, they can kind of slow down the rising process. So I just add that before I form the loaf and before I get it in the oven, which I'll be showing later. So maybe just a tiny bit more, making sure this is a nice big fluffy loaf, because we have this for what I call our breakfast toast every morning. Well, my son at least 5 days a week, and for me 7 days a week, because I work on the weekends and still wake up early then. He wakes up later. And my husband isn't really a breakfast person normally, so I'm the one enjoying this. And weirdly, I like 1/2 of my bread with butter and the other, I kind of cut the slice in half, and then I always have peanut butter on the other one, even though it's savory. And well, garlic and peanut butter would be interesting, but I will try it. I think I have, luckily, the opposite of a peanut butter allergy, where I basically want to eat it every day. Not necessarily have to, because when I go on vacation, I often can't eat it every day, but anyway, just based on availability. But if I'm home, I'm definitely eating peanut butter. Major source of deliciousness and protein for me. Okay, so you can see that there's pretty much enough flour here, so I'm just kind of going round and round and getting this developed into a nice round piece of dough. And you don't need to knead it for too long, but you want to get it developing. So you can see it definitely has enough flour because it's not sticking anywhere. So that's looking awesome. Okay, so we have a nice round beginning developing loaf here. And we still have the clean towel we are using. So we'll say have a nice nap or good night. And I'm gonna put it in the empty oven again like I did for the pretzels, and we will get that going for 4 hours. So I will see you later in the final step. Thanks so much, bye. Hello, welcome back. And now it is time to get our beautiful dough ready to rest in this little shaping basket for a little bit before we get it in the oven. Right now the oven is heating and I have my Dutch oven pan in there to heat up with it. So you can see the beautiful bubbles here on our dough, and it's expanded a lot. So what I'm going to do is put in the roasted or sauteed garlic in here and mix it in as much as I can and form the boule, the round loaf, get it in the basket, let it rest for a while before it goes into the oven. So I like to mix this in a couple parts, so I put a little bit on top, but I realize I need to get this out of the pan here. I've got flour on my board and flour in the basket, and I love to see all those bubbles happening. You know, it's really activated and going when those bubbles are going. So I'm just gonna kind of work the garlic in, and I lost a little bit of it in the bowl, so I'll put that back in. I can really smell the pungent smell of garlic, and I love that I keep popping bubbles on this dough. It's really fun. So now that I've gotten it worked into this half, some of it is surfacing as well. So I'm gonna keep working in little pockets of garlic here and there. Then we'll get it smoothed out, so hopefully it will have garlic throughout. It's not a perfect system, but try to get as much flavor in there as I can. Super fun to keep working it into the dough. I love this part, and I'm gonna add a little bit more flour to get this going. So once I have the garlic worked in, I can keep hearing those bubbles. It's like bubble wrap, but sourdough, which is kind of fun. Anyway, you can see all this lovely garlic here. Some of it is not sticking, but that's okay. So now I am going to shape my dough the best I can into a nice round shape. It's never gonna be like, you know, absolutely perfect or anything, but I love the natural shape of sourdough loaves because they're homemade. So I kind of like to keep it on the board and work my fingers underneath to get a nice shape, and keep picking up the bits of garlic and sprinkling them a bit, and try to get it to be as cohesive as I can. Working that under, and once I get a pretty good shape, then I will put it in the basket to get as much garlic as I can even underneath. Stick it around, and you know, I might sprinkle the last bits of garlic here in the basket because then they'll stick to the top, which always looks pretty. So we're gonna kind of sprinkle this in as much as we can because we're ready to put this into the basket. Put it upside down here, and then we'll put the towel back. Ooh, I realize there's still some more good garlic bits, so I'm just gonna throw that on top. I don't wanna waste those. There we go, lovely. Okay, so then we're gonna give it a tiny nap just for another 15 minutes. And I'll actually put it on top of the oven here, just on the stove top, which is not on. But then it gives it a tiny bit of extra rising time. So I will come back and show you how I get it into the oven, which is going to be using this cool lifter thing, and we'll put a little bit of spray on here to keep it from sticking too much, but this is still a non-stick thing. So I will see you soon with the bread going into the oven very soon. Hello, we are back and we're ready to put the bread in the oven. So let's take this off, and I have this pan lifter thing ready, already greased, and then I'm just gonna flip this over onto it. You can see it's a nicely shaped loaf. And then I have my, I forgot the exact name of this, but kind of a razor blade thing. Sorry, we're a little far away from this, but I'm just gonna make some kind of leaf-shaped cuts on 4 sides here. Try to cut fairly deep so that the pattern shows up. I really smell that glorious garlic. So I'm going to cut this like that. Just some nice little shapes. Cut into the dough. Get this a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So what we're going to do is lift this, and this is a super hot Dutch oven. So I lift that there, and then I'm going to use my oven gloves to put the lid back on, get those edges out of the way. Get this over here, there we go. One edge goes down and the other goes up. See if I can get this out of here. There we go. Oops. Do the best we can. Often a battle, but we'll get it. Okay. Get both of them at the same time. Alright. There we go. So those are ready. And then we'll put the entire pot with the lid on in the oven. It acts as kind of an extra oven to keep the heat in. And with the lid on, we're gonna bake it for 30 minutes. And then we'll come back, take the lid off in another 20 minutes. So about 50 minutes total. It might need a few more minutes to brown on top, but we will come back and take a look at the fresh bread. This is a completed garlic loaf, fresh from the oven. It looks so delicious. And you can see that this allows you to pull it out of the Dutch oven, so it works really great. You can see that my pot is well loved and well used. The garlic bits on top are a little bit burned, but there's no issue with that. It will still be delicious and it's beautiful, so we will enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching.